Hello, precious people. I'm Jacqueline Parks. Welcome to my studio. We are going to be talking about workshops because I just had my very first workshop on Saturday. And I want to tell you kind of the things I learned about setting it up and hosting it myself. And maybe you'll learn from some of my mistakes, or maybe you will just learn from some of the things that went well for it. And today I don't know if I'm going to paint anything. I do have this that I would like to show you from the workshop that I did. Let me see if I can show it to you. So there is. This one was the one I did during the workshop, so it probably looks a little bit unfinished because a lot of times I'm going back and forth with people and showing them what to do and things like that. But I can show you, this was the one I did it beforehand, and I thought it turned out really lovely. And so in case you're wondering, what kind of workshop are we talking about here? We're talking about, I did a watercolor workshop. So this was the ins and outs and pretty much everything you need to know about watercolor um, that I think would help any beginner get started with doing this. And um, as an artist myself, I've been a painter. I've been an acrylic painter in the past, but just in the last 4 years, I've been a watercolor artist. And I'd have to say that, in the last 4 years, I grew to love watercolors so much. And basically, the reason I teach watercolor classes is to share that love with others. And the workshop I really wanted to kind of go into with people because I did go to college and got my degree in studio art. And I learned so much going to school for that. And there's a lot of kind of not fun parts of learning about art. So, taking a drawing class, you can learn the skills you need to draw anything you see. There's also painting classes that I took. So, I took acrylic and oil. And those two classes went over the color wheel, they went over how to mix colors, different things that you need in order to make a painting. You can't just throw some water, well, I didn't take watercolor. You can't just throw some paint on a canvas and be like, yay, it's a painting. I mean, you can, and maybe that works. I've seen a guy recently who's doing paintings with a um, I've seen this guy on YouTube. He's taking a branch with black paint on it and whacking a white canvas. People are paying $7,000 for that. I don't know. You can call that art. It was very beautiful, and so I could get creative too. I did ice cube art, so I painted with acrylics and ice cubes, and sometimes it turned out great. Sometimes it looked like not so great. So I guess that's part of abstract art, that you can really come up with some great things with it, or you can have a flop. And so I do like abstracts. I like looking at them. I like seeing images in them that maybe other people don't see. But for this particular workshop, I wanted to focus on watercolor because once upon a time I took a watercolor class and it was not fun. I didn't enjoy it. I felt frustrated the whole time. In fact, I think I've mentioned in my previous videos how I blocked out even taking that class. Like, I blocked it out. So when I wanted to do watercolor again in 2020, I ended up watching some YouTube videos, and through watching Paul Clark's videos specifically, I learned to love watercolor. And so now I teach, and now I want to share it with people. And I had I did have 9 people signed up. We had a cancellation the day of. So that was one, sad thing. In fact, I have her gift if she ever contacts me back. I asked if she was okay. Haven't heard back. But We had some storms running through the morning of the workshop, like bad storms. So she might have not wanted to come out. I don't know. It's one of those things. We just never know what happens. What can happen in our lives, right? We've had emergencies in my household, so you never know. So today let's look at kind of, I want to show you guys some photos from the event. And so these are two precious ladies who came to the workshop, Faye and my Aunt Jenny, and they're just so precious, and they make me love my job as a teacher because they're just so eager to learn, and they're just so optimistic and positive, and I just love them to pieces. We did have some other people come. So like I said, 9 people signed up. I got 8 there, and so that was really cool. Let me show you also what you want to do. So in this video, I want to talk to you about kind of the if you should do it. And so this is one of the reasons why I like to do this channel, is to help other artists. So maybe you're thinking about doing a class of your own with some friends. Maybe you've been doing watercolor or acrylic or oil, and you've been doing it for a while now, and you're getting pretty proficient. I started teaching because my friend asked me if I would show her how to watercolor. And I'm like, I don't even know how to watercolor that well myself, but yeah, let's get together and do it. So her and a couple friends and I did it. I didn't charge anything because I didn't even think I would be very good at teaching it. So I was like, let's just get together and have fun, right? And so that's what we did. And we painted some mermaids, we painted some seahorses, and it was just a really fun and enjoyable time together. And so her and I and the ladies that were there, just we enjoyed it. We had fun, and we created some really pretty paintings. So for this class, this workshop, I've been doing classes for about a year now, and every month we get together and we paint an image, some kind of completed scene, and usually small little one first and then another larger one. So it's kind of 2 for 1 in my classes. And I just kind of show them step by step how to paint the painting. So for this workshop, I really wanted to focus on how paint works. And if you keep hearing dinging, ding, dinging, I have so much going on with my phone right now. So everybody ding, ding, ding my phone right now. But this is my watercolor palette, as you know. It's very messy, but I love it because I know where everything is on this palette. I have tried creating a new one, and I didn't end up liking it. And the colors I picked for that palette, I didn't particularly like. So this is the setup I like. Now, this was a cheap $10 24 color pan of paints and from Hobby Lobby, and I probably got it on sale too for half off, who knows, 40% off. But as I've used this up, so I started with this in 2020, but as I use up colors, I refill them with more expensive professional grade watercolor paints. So in fact, let me see if I can find one. This one has been squeezed out into there. And this one is yellow ochre. So yellow ochre. The thing when I bought this palette, it didn't tell me the colors that they were. But some of the ladies there at the workshop had nicer ones than this. And they had the labels for the colors on theirs. But the first lesson that we did was to swatch out our palette. And why did I have them do that? Because sometimes we have no idea what these look like. One lady had the, I forget the brand of that watercolor paints, but I love them. They're vibrant, but when you look at the palette, they're almost like their purples and their blues and even their greens almost look the same. So swatching it out is super important if you want to know like what color this is. So if you look at this, that goes there. So ended up doing that, and that goes there. So now I know exactly what my colors look like. And it helped them to learn how to judge water and paint ratios. So it was really cool. So if you're going to be hosting an art workshop, maybe what you want to do is, maybe what you want to do is figure out what you want to teach. So I wanted to focus more on like color mixing in the color wheel and how to get the right consistency of paint for what you want to do, the different washes that you can make with watercolor, the different shading, and the different ways to correct mistakes. Because like a lot of times people think that watercolor is unforgiving. It's not. It's something that we can totally erase. So if you have a big blob of something on your paper and you don't like it, you can wet it, dab it, wet it, dab it, and just keep going back and forth. So that's what I showed these ladies. And so planning this out, I've been planning it for maybe 2 months, 3 months. So I would say if you're going to do workshops, you should start planning your workshop ahead of time. You should do a lot of research. I got a lot of books from the library, just things that I already kind of instinctually knew, but I wanted to be able to have it very clear for beginners. And so that's what I did for a couple months. Maybe for a couple weeks I created the class. So I came up with like the different lessons that I wanted to teach. And then when I told my already students that I've been having for over a year about it, I just said, hey, I'm going to plan this, probably in May. And that was back in February or March, I think I started telling them. And so I just wanted to let them know that it was something that was coming up and to plan ahead to attend it if they wanted to. And so they were very eager to learn more, and some were like, oh, maybe not, I think I just like doing this once in a while, and that's okay. So a lot of times too, when you're going to do a class, you want to learn what people are wanting to learn. So like know who your audience is. So a lot of times my audience is adult women, but of course I had a few that were interested that were male, and I was like, yeah, you can come too. But I think for the most part, the watercolor medium might be more geared towards women right now. I don't know. At least in my area it is. And I've just found that it's a great social aspect where maybe men aren't so social. I don't know. They're more, but they totally can be. I mean, they totally can be part of our group. But I just enjoyed seeing familiar faces in my workshop from my classes, and then I got some new people because I advertised it. So that's going to be kind of my step one. No, not my step one, my step two, because the step one is, do you have a desire to do it? And if the answer is yes, then you need to decide what you're going to be teaching, and then also the advertising part. So I ended up going on all the different what's happenings in my area and posting. I went on Nextdoor. I went on Instagram, Facebook, my own group. I have a GroupMe, so I ended up posting it there. I talk about it in my channel, YouTube channel, things like that. So advertise. And You don't want to do that too soon, because if you do it like 2 months in advance, you're gonna start feeling fatigued from keeping it up there. And then people aren't gonna they're not gonna sign up until they know, like, probably a week or two before. But I also want you to know that you should have an incentive for people to sign up early, just so that you can have a head count for who's going to sign up and be there. So for me, I offered an early bird special, which was a gift. So let me show you what we did. So I made these cute little tags with watercolor for the attendees. And I'm not going to open this one. This was the lady who didn't end up coming, so I still have that. Let me show you though. Do I have mine? Do I have it? Yes. So these are from Stampin' Up, and they are soft pastels. And we didn't get a chance to use them, but I thought when you're painting with watercolors, you need some pastels to go over the top as a little highlight or something. It does make it more mixed media and it can rub off, but I think it makes it really fun to play with. And it's an art supply I was hoping that not many people already had. So that was the little gift. That was a little incentive for them. And what I didn't do, and it's my own fault, but to have a way to accept payments ahead of time and have them pay ahead of time. So since this was my first one, and I was just kind of like, thinking I'm just going to go for it. Whoever shows up, shows up. And so I ended up not taking deposits. So the one lady that didn't come, I'm out the money, but, and even for paying for the little gift for her. But you know what? I can keep that and save it for someone else, or maybe give it to her if we have another workshop, and, things like that. But if you're just now thinking about doing a workshop, try and at least get a deposit ahead of time before the class to secure their spot, especially if you're going to have it limited. Like, I didn't have a limit for this class, and it's probably a good thing that it didn't get more than 10 people, because I think I would have been more overwhelmed, because I did a lot of one-on-one with people for my workshop. And so you also have to think about that. Like, are you going to be able to show people individually? Are you going to have a helper? Are you going to be by yourself? Are you going to have a slide on a screen for them to see what you're doing? There's a lot of questions to ask. And for me, I went totally low tech. So no slides, no screens, no computers. It was just me talking and my worksheets. So let's talk about worksheets. So worksheet that I came up with was something like this. And if you guys are interested in these worksheets, like if you want to download them, let me know in the comments. And I can provide you with these, because they are kind of cool. I was going to try and print these on watercolor paper, but my printer was having issues with that, because it's kind of thick watercolor paper. So this was the one where I talked about each technique, and we ended up pulling out sheets of paper for that instead. So, but that was basically in their handout, so that they knew what we were going to be working on. After they swatched their color palette, I wanted them to work on a color wheel. So color wheels are pretty cool. There's a primary 3 colors, and the secondary 3 colors, and then there's tertiary colors. Those are mixed with the secondary colors and the primary colors together too. So that is pretty cool, and I had them working on that. And another thing you may want to keep in mind when you're doing a workshop is that not everybody goes at the same pace. So I was kind of on a pretty tight schedule, but I let some things go a little longer if I thought they needed to. So I basically was like 10 minutes for this lesson, 20 for this, and then back to 10, and just depending on which lesson it was. If it seemed like an easy one, I was like, okay, 10 minutes to do this. And I'm pretty quick, so I had to keep that in mind too when I was planning my workshop. Was like, how fast do people go? So, and then this, was this the next lesson we did? So this was the palette swatch. I already did that. So this one was the next one. So basically for my workshop, I had them mixing the two complementary colors, yellow, purple, red, green, blue, orange, then a whole bunch of neutrals. So this worksheet was all about the neutrals, right? So that was good for them to kind of practice and have fun mixing all the neutrals. So let me show you what we did that day. So this was my color wheel. Super fancy looking, huh? And I actually ended up painting over my thing showing them how to do the trees, but this was the yellow, purple, green, red, orange, blue. And then this was my neutrals and showing them how to do skin tones and things like that. So that was really, I think that was really one of the funner lessons, was mixing all those things together. So, and I think, I must have, oh yeah, they're down here. Okay, so that was what we did with that. And then this one took a little bit longer, shading and shadows. And I had them draw some circles, and they ended up, what did they do? And they ended up doing the shading. I showed them different techniques for that and how to do the cast shadows. So this one took a little bit more time, which was fine. And then of course each of these was fun to do. The salt technique, scraping, layering, glazing, washes, flat washes, dry brush technique. So each one was its own different lesson. And I had planned for lunch and all of these lessons 4 hours. It was not enough time to do it. 4 hours was not enough time to do lunch and all these lessons. So that's something you guys should learn from, is to make sure you have enough time to do all your lessons in your workshop. And if you're providing lunch in the middle, like, set out more than 10 minutes for that. I was like, let's eat fast. No, I wasn't like that. But I was like, okay, so we're going to eat some lunch and then get back to it. And, instead of doing a workshop in the middle of the day, you could have did a morning session, like maybe, I don't know, 8 a.m. to noon. Or you could do afternoon. You could do 2 to 6, something like that, and not have a lunch involved. That's another thing I kind of messed up maybe, is I didn't have drinks. We just ordered pizza and a veggie tray. And I probably should have planned to have drinks and things like that. I just kind of bring my own drink wherever I go, because I just like water. But a lot of people like other things, and so I probably should have planned for that. And but it was okay. It turned out all right. I learned a little bit from that. And what did I do with my page? Here it is. So that's one thing, that you could learn from my mistakes. So let's see. After you design a lesson plan, you can really just decide that you're going to do it and not have to have everything prepped before you start advertising it. But definitely when you advertise it everywhere, and word of mouth, and tell your friends, tell your family, post it on your YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you're at, just post. And I went on Nextdoor. I got like 2 or 3 people interested that way. I went on what's happening in my area. So I did that on the days they say you can do it. And it's free. It's not like I had to pay for any advertising, which, You can. I mean, Facebook has like some $5 you can post to your area if you want to advertise. I didn't do that. I just was like, you know what? If they want to do a class, they'll do a class. If they don't, they don't. But I'm very low key and not organized. I'm very artsy. I very much just want to be about the art. I don't want to be about the business. But sometimes you have to be about the business when you're doing that. So advertise, advertise. There's a couple of the what's happening. They said Wednesday, some said Monday, some said Friday, I think. So you got to pay attention or they won't let your post go through. That was one thing. So I did that for probably 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the event. Actually, not before the event, before my cutoff for the event. So have a cutoff if you need to. I was doing those gifts for people if they signed up by May 5th. So after May 5th, I wouldn't be able to order it again and get it in time, I don't think. So that was about 2 weeks before the event was my cutoff. I was still taking people if they wanted to sign up for it, but I wouldn't have that gift for them. But I did buy 10 of those, so I was planning for 10 people. I had enough for everyone, even I did have a last minute person, so it was okay. They got a gift as well. Let's see. So one of the things that I was asked before they took the class, like they were asking questions about the class. So you can have them contact you. So when you're advertising your workshop, make sure there's a way they can contact you. Email, phone number, website, things like that. So I had a lot of questions before the workshop about it, and like what level do you need to be, and like, if men can come. One of them was like, are we going to be painting a painting or what? And I said, well, we do have probably 30 minutes at the end that we can paint a painting. Now, we went way over that 30 minutes, and that's okay because I had somewhere to be, but not like super planned or anything. So it was, I could play with the time. But if someone else had somewhere to be, it might have been messing with their plans. Like I said, remember to plan out your workshop and know how much time you need for it. So yeah, they asked ahead of time if we were painting a full-on painting, which, I ended up with this one because it has every technique that we learned. So flat wash, lifting, layering, glazing. What else did we do in this? Salt. We did salt on the, I'll do it this way. So it'll be easier for y'all to see. But we did the salt technique on the rock and some scraping. We did the lifting and dry brush on the water, glazing over this, layering, and so the wash up on top, lifting for the clouds. A lot of stuff went into this painting. So it was really good that that one lady asked, "Are we going to do a painting?" Because I think it was really great to have that, be. Oh, our mail lady's here. To have that be part of the thing, and for them to take home. You know what I mean? So that they would have something to show everyone, and like, hey, look what I did, right? Which I think is really cool. I may show you guys some examples if you're interested in seeing some. I didn't actually set that up beforehand. I was outside. I found a box turtle in my neighborhood on the way to taking Jake to school. And that was pretty funny because after I got it home and I put it in my habitat, well, I noticed it was one of my long lost turtles, Zigzag. And I knew it was Zigzag because its little shell has shoots on it that are back and forth. So they're very distinct and recognizable. So I ended up snatching her back and bringing her into my home. Well, not my home, my backyard. Let me see. Y'all, if I could do this while live, I don't know. I wish I could show you my computer screen. That would be awesome. But right now I'm trying to just put a couple of them. I guess I can do like 2 or 3. Let's see if I can find one more that we did that was really cool. This one lady had to leave a little bit early, but I asked her to send it to me so I could see her finished piece, like if she had to do it, finish it at home. And she's like, sure. So she sent me this, and I thought it turned out really lovely. So let's see. Just adjust something real quick. Hold on. All right, so here are 3. Well, the top left is mine, and the other 2 are from the class. I thought they did really lovely. And so this was part of the finished class workshop, whatever you want to call it, where they were able to take home a finished piece. So those are cool if you like those. So yeah, and then so there's a couple more. I could probably show those on my community tab later. I think that'll be easier, and then you can like zoom in on it if you want. And another thing about doing your own art workshop is coming up with a price for it. Basically, I did about $10 an hour. So I was planning for it to be a 5-hour workshop, and then but with lunch involved, I don't know. I should have had it be 5, but so I was charging $50. And it was a 4-hour workshop, but then I ended it at an hour past the time I was expecting to, which was not a big deal. So it ended up being 5 hours, which we needed. So that's another thing you want to think about, like all the cost involved in that. So like printing out some of these worksheets, I wanted to print it out at home, and I was having a hard time doing that on my printer. So I went to Staples, and at first they were saying it was going to cost $150. I'm like, what? Are you using gold ink? Like, what's happening? And they said no, and I'm like, well, that's just too much. I don't want to spend that much. And so we got it down to $14 for just the lesson plan, which I wrote out all the instructions for each lesson. So I think that will be helpful for them to have at home if they want to repeat the lessons and try and follow it at home. And so that was important to me to have that. But I did go home and I played around with my computer and printer, and I was able to print the other stuff that I wanted. So, like the cover and the color wheels, pages, and the worksheets. So that was part of God just saying, okay, let's help this printer work. And he was showing me that I had the settings wrong, and it was like sucking the paper back in, trying to do double-sided or something. I don't know. So I changed a few things on the settings, and then it was fine. So God is good. Another thing about pricing. So if you're including the lunch, make sure that's going to be part of it. Maybe your venue costs money to set up, and do it at. My church is very accommodating for me and lets me use one of the rooms in there for my monthly classes. And so I asked her if I could use the larger room if I needed to for a workshop, and we planned that ahead, and she said it was available and no problems. So she let me use that, and like the printing supplies anything you need to buy, like the gifts I bought, all of that can be used as write-offs too for your business. That would be a whole nother video to be a business. So what time is it? 10:30. I am leaving early today from this live because my cat is having some issues. We're gonna go to the vet at 11:30, so probably leave here at 11. So we got another 20 minutes. Maybe I'll paint something really quick for you if I have time. I can finish up my other one. I can finish up that one. Also, when you're planning your event, just think about how many people you can have. So who knows, you might advertise it so much that you get like 50 people showing up and you might be overwhelmed by 50 people. So I sure would be. I was thinking 10. 10 is probably a good number for me anyways, in person. Now, if I get high tech and I learn how to use a computer screen and project it onto a screen and use like overhead like I do for this OBS live, I could probably do that in person with a screen. I'm not sure. I have to think about that. Maybe I can do it. I don't know. And then I could have like a whole room full of people. But for me, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. So I really enjoy spending one-on-one with people, and I really enjoy them learning how to use this medium and paint. And I see so much, like there was several ladies there who take my monthly classes, and they have improved so much that I'm like, that's sellable. I mean, their art is getting to the point where I can recognize a style in their artwork. I can recognize how much they've grown as an artist. So I really am impressed by that, and I really love it. That's what brings me joy, is seeing other people do that. And so that's part of another reason I'm doing the workshops too, is just to help them kind of dive deeper into the medium, how it works, who knows, maybe in like 3 or 4 years, they may start teaching classes to their friends and holding their own workshops, or maybe we'll do a combined workshop where everyone they know and everyone I know, we get to, get together. Maybe we do a whole weekend retreat. Wouldn't that be fun? I would love that. That's part of my bucket list, is to have retreats. And I haven't been to one, but I want to go to one. And another reason to do a workshop is have it be something where you personally can upsell some of your other products. So if you have an online workshop, like, classes that you can download, maybe you can direct them to that. If you have a YouTube channel, Instagram account, things like that. Also, I told all of my attendees about how we get together every Thursday just to craft, and that costs nothing. So that's part of building that community. And I invited them each to come to that. I have a GroupMe. I have GroupMe, the app, and I have a whole class. Everybody who takes a class with me is added to that. Some people have dropped out because they don't want to stay up to date with it. That's fine. And that was another thing about this workshop. Is it for everyone, or is it for someone who wants to see if they like it, or someone who has some supplies and want to know how to use them? So that's kind of who I was targeting, kind of the beginner, intermediate. So maybe we'll do an advanced workshop. That would be really cool. I would love to do that. Maybe we'll paint animals in that, because that's like my passion, is to paint animals. But it does take a little bit of drawing, and not too much, but a little bit. And then there's also the shading and just really, I don't know. I tell everyone that God is directing my hand. Like, a lot of times I'm painting, it turns out wonderful, and I know it was God. I know it was Him that was guiding my hand. So for me, I always give glory to the Lord. And He gave me this passion for art. He gave me this passion to share it with others. and it all is because of him. So I really enjoyed that. And grateful, very grateful for that. So what is one more thing I think to tell y'all about? Yeah, just I think that was basically it. Just to invite them to be part of your community. Let them know about your other classes, and um, I think, and I was watching a few videos before this to try and get some ideas of what to talk about, like what are the key points. And I think that someone else has done this way better than me. But if you want to watch, some of their videos, just Google it, like how to host a workshop, how to host an art workshop, and you'll find people that have a lot of videos on that, and they do more step by step. And I'm more about like let's just chit chat and encourage each other, and that's kind of what I do for my channel. But let's see if we can help. Oops, not that one. This one. Let's try and help this painting. So I didn't finish it, right? Because, when you're talking to people and trying to help them, it's not always easy to get your own painting done, right? So I'm going to mix a couple of these little brown green. I like this kind of little brown green. And see, this was part of it too, the lessons. Maybe I'll do a video on the whole workshop. Like I can probably do that with a video with my camera and then put that on my website as something you can purchase for like $10. That might be cool. So it's not one-on-one or in a group setting, but you could actually be able to stop it and rewind it if you needed to. And have it forever, right? Okay, so in my original, I had some rocks and I had some grass. So let me see if I can make some rocks and grass here. There's some grass. And maybe some right here. And that was one thing too. It's very intuitive for me now, but to have things that are depicting, the different distance and size and stuff. So that's something that comes with time, I think, if you're doing this enough that you'll be. I don't know, I'm just doing some more trees here. That might be something, because one lady was like, how are you doing that? How are you making your trees? I was like, I just kind of zag it back and forth. Kind of like my turtle's name, huh? Zigzag. So that was kind of an interesting thing that, I learned during the workshop was what people might have wanted to focus on. So that was, something that I may think about more. And if I do it again, like what I want to do. So let's add a couple rocks, because I didn't add any rocks in this one. And my rocks are a little different color, but that's okay. You can make rocks smaller and smaller. And now I have to go back in and make a kind of reflection. Just dab it in there. And then, of course, I have no paper towels. I took them all with me to the workshop, and now they're like somewhere else. Who knows where they went? But I will try and lift just a little bit to get a highlight on top of them rocks. Lifting is so awesome. You just take it like that. So that's looking pretty cool. May add some more blues just for fun. And I noticed on this that I wanted to add some kind of shadowing under the trees maybe. And that was not easy to do because I was very focused on talking to everyone. So now we're going to add that in and just kind of wiggle that around. I wanted my mountains to look a little bit more distinguished. And maybe shadow on one side. Let's see. I think watercolor is one of the best mediums just because of how easy it is. You can redo things. Do I want this one to be a little more something? No, you can make those darker. If I want to change kind of the look of my landscape, I can. Make that a little darker. I don't know. And we make this mountain just a little bit taller. And what did Bob Ross already say? Happy mistakes, right? But I also was encouraging them to keep making marks on their paper, like brush strokes and splatters, things like that. Because that's what really is kind of cool to look at. Because if you have something that's completely, I don't know, it's all just perfectly painted and there's no brush marks at all, like what ends up happening is that it's not unique, and you might as well just get a photograph if that's what you're going to be painting, you know. But I enjoy doing all kinds of, you know, splatters and brush strokes, and I'm going to add some of a bank maybe here, trying to make that a little more dark. I hear my kitty is crying. I gotta take my kitty to the vet. You hear her? Bless her little heart. Meow, meow. What time is it? 10:50. Doesn't take that long to get there, so I think maybe I do want to do an advanced class at some point because there's a lot to talk about with creating depth to your painting, creating a lot of interest and composition. Like composition can make or break your picture. And see, I just added some Payne's Gray, and I'm going to splatter it with some clean water. Bless it, for babies. I hear you, baby. Why is she looking at me? Bless her. I do like how that's looking. And I like the little speckles from the clear water in there. So that's looking really, really good. That is kind of interesting. I didn't plan that. But like this mountain is disappearing into the background mountain and it's just kind of pretty. I like it. I'm going to leave it. Now if I get something on my painting, I have to wipe it off. Rinse it off. So, but I think that's probably a good time to stop. Let me just do some final thoughts, which are always me reading you some scripture. Which did I prepare anything today? No, but you know, one time we looked at the time and then we looked up scripture for the time, and that seemed to be pretty cool and went with the painting. So let's try that now. So it is 10:52. Let me see what happens when I look up scripture for 10:52. Mark 10:52. And Jesus said unto him, Go thy way, thy faith hath made thee whole. And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus in the way. That's kind of cool. I like Mark 10:52. And that kind of is kind of good for artists, because when you're painting something, you got to see, right? So you got to observe things and paint what you see, not what you think you see too. That was one important thing that we learned during our classes, is to paint what you see and not what you think you see. But so that's a pretty good way to end today. It's almost 11. I'm gonna go snatch up my kitty, put her in a carrier, and take her to the vet. So if you could pray for my little Choo Choo, she's precious to me. She's the best out of the 4 cats that I have. So definitely we need her to be better. So but thank you guys for watching today. I love you all. I pray for you, and I hope you have a blessed day.